My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Every single week, we break down full UFC fight cards. We give you our picks, our bets, and our fantasy plays. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our content. And we're also giving away $50. Anybody who goes to WeWantPicks.com/bets, signs up with one of our 5 betting partners, and makes a deposit, will get $50 from us. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. And this is brought to you by EarnU.io. EarnU.io is the world's first sports and esports prediction game, allowing you to earn crypto risk-free. Check it out now at EarnU.io. First up, at UFC Vegas 53, we have Tatsuro Taira taking on Carlos Candelario. Tatsuro Taira, 10-0 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, riding a 3-fight stoppage streak. Carlos Candelario, 8-1 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off the first loss of his career. Tatsuro Taira is a big prospect that people have been talking about for a while. He's the #1 ranked flyweight in Japan, and like a lot of the fighters out of that region, he's ridiculously young. This guy is only 22 years old, but he does have 10 fights. 9 of them are finishes. If you had to put him in a category as far as style is concerned, I'd say he's probably a grappler, but he's also a very patient striker, and he does have legit power in his hands. A handful of his submission wins were set up from strikes on his feet, and then his ridiculous speed followed him to the ground and just snatched something up. He does not have the best takedowns in the division, but he will stick with them. He'll drag you to the ground, and he's just, what he could have done in one really clean shot takes him 3 or 4, constant pressure, but he does not give up on those entries. Carlos Candelario, he's a Northeast guy. He trains in Connecticut at a gym that I'm very familiar with, Underdog MMA. So shout out to that crew over there. He's coming off a loss on Contenders. What was that?
So that's where I trained there for a while.
Oh, did you? Name one coach.
What's that?
Okay.
I'm not going to put them on blast. I mean, they don't want to be
Put him
known
on
as
blast
coaching me. No, they don't want. They don't want to be
associated.
associated with me. I'm not going to do that to them.
Okay. Anyway,
How do you think
Carlos is coming off a loss on the Contender Series, but it was a really fun fight, and he was able to work a UFC contract out of that anyway. Style-wise, he's pretty good everywhere. He's got very good hands. He has Golden Glove boxing experience. He's got solid BJJ with competition experience there as well. And up until his split decision loss on the Contender Series, he was undefeated, but there is a 4-year gap. He took 4 years off because of injuries and just life in general caught up to him. And anytime we get one of these undefeated Asian prospects, there's always a bunch of you in the live chat, in the comments, screaming about his record's padded, it's trash, and all of that. But I will say, if you dig into Taira's record, he does seem to have done this correctly. Every fight is essentially a logical step up, right? So there's almost nobody with a losing record in there. There's a couple of guys with like 50 fights, so 30 and 20, something to that effect. So he has fought, at least a logical order and has followed a logical progression in the level of competition. It's going to be an interesting fight because I think Taira's the more technical fighter, but Carlos is the tougher fighter. And I think Carlos has more ways to win. I think if Taira can push a clean ground and pound game without getting sucked into a brawl, he can absolutely take the decision. But if he lets Carlos make it ugly, like Carlos did in both of his Contender Series fights, then I think we see Carlos squeak out a decision. So Carlos he's one of the more live dogs on this card. He is willing to go to war, but I don't think he's been the same since that 4-year layoff in 2017. I think this is a much closer fight than these odds are saying. I think these odds are super wide for a UFC debut in Taira. And then, Carlos, we've seen that guy go to war. I do think Taira gets it done. I think he stays technical. He uses his speed, and he doesn't let Carlos turn it into sort of an ugly war. But if Carlos is able to do that, then he absolutely takes this fight. Taira's the pick. I'm not betting on this fight, but I may live bet because we'll know pretty quickly if Carlos is going to be able to make this ugly. Jakey boy, speaking of ugly, what are your thoughts? Gotcha.
Take it back right now. Slap you across the face. Go ahead and apologize. Apologize in front of the people.
Nah, this is going to get awkward because you know I'm not going to apologize.
I'll sit here in silence for 2 hours. I'll sit here in silence for 2 hours.
All right,
I'll get into it because this is an important fight. I agree. I think these odds are a little bit wide. I want to start off with 2 things. First of all, I want to address last week, lock of the week. From now on, moving forward, lock of the week losses by submission are not going to count losses, okay? I'm not going to do it. That was the most ridiculous loss I've ever seen in my life. Jordan Wright losing by a guillotine. Come on, the guy knew he was outmatched, pulled a guillotine. They're not going to count as loss anymore. Second of all, lock of the week. I don't know if we've ever, and Angelo, don't correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I've ever lost back-to-back lock of the weeks ever. I don't think I've ever lost back-to-back lock of the weeks. With that said, last week we lost. This week, it's going to be, this is an automatic guaranteed win. So let's get into this card because Carlos is the lock of the week. There is no doubt about in my mind. To start off the first card, I saw this guy fight. There is that layoff.
It's going to be downhill if this doesn't
he mentioned, well. Excuse me, sir. He mentioned that layoff. He said I needed to find a job to support my family, basically. So he took some time off. But in that time off, he said he stayed in MMA, right? He was coaching, he was still training, but he wasn't fighting fights professionally. He also talked about how he was in a bad accident that could have been really, really bad. It kind of changed his outlook on life, and he found love for fighting again. And he's in this because he absolutely loves it all over again. And if we look at the technicals from this fight, I agree. One of the first things I did was look at Tatsuro's record. I went back. I'm like, oh, surely he's fighting cans, and he is not. You were right about that. He is not fighting cans. That record is legit. He is a very good fighter, but he's a little too patient for me. He's a very technical striker, but he'll just kind of wait and wait. His takedowns aren't as aggressive as I'd like them to be. He's good on the ground, but when I'm watching Carlos fight, there was that layoff, and I agree. He's not kind of the same person that he was, but if he can turn that corner and become what he was, I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's a better grappler. I think he's the more aggressive striker. And I think some people are built, Angelo, and I think some people are built a little bit different. And Carlos is one of those guys that's willing to brawl and has been in brawls and is built a little bit different and knows what to do in those situations, where Tatsuro is kind of a clean fighter, right? He's patient, he's in and out, he's very clean in his striking. If he lands a 1-2 and knocks out Carlos, I'm not going to be surprised, right? Because he's the more technical striker, and he'll be patient waiting for those counters. But if Carlos is able to put pressure on, turn this into a brawl, get a couple takedowns, he can very, very easily win this fight, because I think they are very, very evenly matched. Carlos, I think, has a little bit more power, but it's a little bit more looping in his shots. But if this goes to the ground, I like Carlos' ability. There was one fight I watched. Again, this was before the layoff. He has good takedown defense, but he got on his back. He was on his back for a total of 10 seconds. I timed it. It was incredible. Closed guard for the first 5 seconds. Opened up the guard, got back to his feet in 10 seconds. Can he do that against Taira? Probably not good to end up on your back against Taira, right? But if he does it on his back, I like his urgency to get back to his feet. I like his wrestling. I like his striking. I like his aggression. Carlos, my man, welcome to Lock of the Week. Congrats on the big win, and happy to have you here.
Yeah, I'm with you, and he trains at Underdog, considering he's an underdog, and he's your Lock of the Week. He trains at Underdog MMA in Connecticut, so shout out to Russell Leak and the guys over there. Pretty good gym. They put out some
Russell
solid
Leak. That was my. I didn't want to. You said it, but that was my striking coach. But yeah, and Tatsuro too. He gets hit, man. For a guy that's patient and waits for counter punches, he does get hit. He'll throw some lazy kicks as well. I think Carlos can capitalize on that. So I'm Carlos all the way. Lock of the Week. First fight of the night. We're gonna get it over with. We got to end that streak before it even starts. We're feeling good.
Well, there you go. Listen. Anybody who doesn't know what the Lock of the Week is, some people in the comments are like, oh,
credibility lost with K. Hansen, Lock of the Week. I am 12-4-1 picking all underdogs. So you can kiss my ass.
That is, listen, I give you a very hard time, but Jacob's Lock of the Week, if you go Google UFC Vegas 53 Lock of the Week, somebody's going to say Alexander Romanov. And he is. That dude is a guarantee to win. We'll break down that fight later. But what Jacob does is he gets an underdog every single week, picks an underdog, lays out logically how he thinks that person's going to win, and you just rattled off your record with 12-4 or something in your last, 16 weeks?
I won 4 weeks in a row. That's a whole month of picking underdogs twice now. So I've done 4 weeks in a row, 1-1-1, and then 1-1-1-1, and I literally haven't lost back-to-back weeks. So,
well, I bust your balls quite a bit, but good for you. I'll be rooting for Carlos here. I'm a Connecticut guy. He's a Connecticut guy. I don't know him very well, but I know his coaches and his team very well. $9,200 to $7,000. I do think there's value in Carlos Candelario. Even if you like Tatsuro Taira, because Carlos is not a guy that you're just going to blow through and finish. He is a tough guy. He is a scrappy guy. Even if he's on the wrong side of the exchanges and the grappling, I still see him surviving and doing well. So I'm assuming you'll have him in your DraftKings lineup at that price.
Oh, hell yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And then the betting odds, I'm going to wait to live bet on this. And Monkey Knife Fight, if you don't know what Monkey Knife Fight is, the numbers you're looking at here are strike lines. Those are the total strikes they're saying will be landed by each fighter. And if you pick the more or the less correctly, you can triple your money. What do you think of the Monkey Knife Fight line here? It's probably more and more.
It probably is a more and more. I think this is a brawl. I think this is the first time that Tatsuro I think he's going to be up to the challenge. I don't think he's going to fold under the pressure.
No,
I just think
and he's been in the decision before.
Right, and I just think Carlos is going to win the majority of those exchanges for the judges. So, I think it's probably a more and more play.
Yeah, it's probably more and more. Check that out at WeWantPicks.com/MKF. And if you want $50 free, go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We give you $50 for signing up with any one of our betting partners. WeWantPicks.com/bets.